And now we'll hear public comment on any items not on the agenda. Our first speaker is Derek Simpson. There you are.
Good evening. My name is Derek Simpson, member of the 2nd Council District, also Executive Director of the Long Beach Community Action Partnership. However, this evening I'm here as part of a larger coalition of people that I'm working with in our community relevant to the project labor agreement, and specifically to speak on a local hire policy that we hope to have introduced and agendized by this council this evening. As I speak from notes and think about why this is important to us, we want to ensure that all staff are aware of the fact that we know that the project labor agreement is in progress for consideration. We would hope that we have consideration of a local hire policy as an implementing document for the PLA as it moves forward to the council for consideration. As we thought about why is this important and what would be an analogy or a metaphor that we could use in explaining this clearly to people who don't necessarily understand all the specifics, one person suggested it's sort of like the project labor agreement is a seed of a concept or of an issue that needs to be nurtured and watered in order for it to move towards what it actually can become. And when you think about the local hire policy, we feel that combined with a project labor agreement, we can give legs to that and give order to how that might be enforced as we move forward once it's approved by the council. We know that in July of 2014 that the policy was introduced to council, but it didn't really move forward beyond that. And so our hope, again, is that it's agendized. Our intent is not to slow down the project labor agreement progress that's been made by staff working diligently to bring something forward. Our hope is just that it's a parallel path, that the project labor agreement and a local hire policy can move forward simultaneously. We hope this because we know that the precedent has been set successfully with entities such as LADWP, with Metro, with the City of LA Redevelopment Agency, and with the Port of Los Angeles. And so as I learned about this and I learned who was actually involved, I asked myself, if it's good enough for these entities that surround us, why is it not good enough for us here in Long Beach to have a local hire policy as well? Our vision is that all stakeholders prosper. It's not to make more expensive those contracts that are led in our city. It's not to slow things down. It's to give everyone in our community an equal opportunity to have a job, and not just a job, but a meaningful wage job that they can turn into careers if they choose to do so. I have here 1,100 petitions that have been signed that are in agreement with me, and that's just in 2 weeks. And we hope that you hear from my colleagues behind me as they speak to this as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Derek. Ernest Roberts.
Hello, my name is Ernest Roberts. I'm the Executive Director of PV Jobs, which is a nonprofit that has been working in the field of local and disadvantaged construction hiring for over 17 years. I was asked to participate in the Long Beach Coalition because of our expertise in this particular area. The agency-wide local and disadvantaged worker requirements at the CRA, LA now defunct, the LA Public Works, Port of Long Beach, LA Metro, even the high-speed rail, and many private projects are modeled after our program design. We help develop these policies and help contractors meet these requirements in the Los Angeles and other areas. As program designers and operators, we kind of know what works to do a local hire policy. There seems to be a misconception about the coalition's ask for requirements instead of goals. The requirements are not that contractors reach percentages in their hiring. The idea is that the requirement is not that they make the 30%. The requirement that the coalition is asking for, just like elsewhere, is that contractors be required to follow a set of procedures as outlined in a policy to achieve the goal. If they follow the policy and follow the procedures, that's the requirement. You see, the policy is a program design that clearly articulates processes and procedures to ensure best efforts in achieving the targeted percentages, how the program is going to work, who does what and when, who is responsible to make sure that this or that is done. Without a clearly defined process, contractors are left to interpret and develop their own processes, which may or may not be effective. To be sure, a PLA is an absolute necessity for a successful local hire program, and we fully endorse a PLA. But it only paints targets in broad strokes and is not an implementation plan. The policy also outlines roles and responsibilities for a jobs coordinator. The jobs coordinator is the coordinating entity that connects local CBOs and FBOs to a pipeline of new workers that the local hire program will need. It is the one thing to include those targets in the PLA and a policy. It is another to make sure that those residents with the skills and expertise are there to fill them. The jobs coordinator produces that pipeline and moves that forward. The heads versus hours issues. If you count heads instead of hours, what you're doing, they can contractor hire a guy for a day, let him go, and then that counts towards the performance. That's not really in the spirit of a local hire policy. And the local hire area really needs to focus primarily on the Long Beach area first. And with clearly articulated processes and procedures, you can ensure that local hire is done with priority given to local residents. So we understand that all of this is not new. We've done this before. We need you to agendize the policy and please move it forward.
Thank you.
And I have here some paperwork for you guys.
Thanks so much. Pastor Garen Harden.
Good afternoon. My name is Pastor Garen Harden. I'm the pastor of Great Open Door Church, 135 West Victoria Street in the city of Long Beach, California. To the mayor and council members, I've lived in this city for 46 years. And the last 8 years, I have seen our streets, our public buildings, schools built without 1% of the people that pays taxes and support this city. I've seen many licensed places out of state. And they are coming in, taking the jobs that belongs here in this city. And I thought that you all was elected to bring good work and prepare good jobs for the people in this city, that people would, when they're living in this city, they know they can make a good living. It's a good place to live. But if you're paying the money and the money is going to another state, and it's going sometime maybe out of the country, we don't know. But we do know one thing, that we don't have a 30% policy or hiring in the city. Now, they did it in Inglewood. They did it in Los Angeles. I believe this is the 5th largest city in the state. I may be wrong on that, but why it's here at Long Beach that we don't have that same representation, that our council people are looking out for us, looking out for the people that live in the city, the people that pays their taxes in the city, the people that support the city, the people that voted you in. And you are not concerned about, bringing in somebody. They're not monitored. They're not monitored. If they was monitored, matter of fact, it's not only the folks that is coming in with the streets and the building. I've also seen it in the parks, the contracting for the park, the tree trimming. When are we going to ever learn that there are people that are here in the city, and if they don't qualify, the apprentice program that they are getting money for, it could be passed on to the citizen right here in the city. So I think it's a time now for you all to think about enough is enough. And we're tired of being left out. I've driven all over this city, and we have not. It's hard to find one African American, and some of the other people too. And I just think it's wrong. And I think that our job, our city, I think we ought to stand up for our city. You all represent us, and I think you ought to represent us in the jobs and in everything that we do, because we just cannot tolerate over and over. And our children are going to jail, to prison. Why? They don't have any jobs. They don't have any jobs. And they're creating prison, but when you create a job and you bring somebody out of state out of another state and the money goes back, that still is not helping the city of Long Beach because the money's spent in another place. So I think it's time that you all come together, get your mind and understand there's a lot of petition. We're not stopping here. If you all don't monitor them, we're going to do it. God bless.
Thank you, Pastor. Next, we have Pastor Torrey Russell, Sr., followed by Pastor Dwayne Moore.
Good evening. I'm Pastor Torrey H. Russell, Sr., Temple Baptist Church of Long Beach, located in the 4th District. We're here, and I'm here tonight in support of the PLA. It is our daily goal and mission to support our communities and get our communities moving through worship and work. We believe that the PLA would be a good system and policy to where we can show ourselves accountable for the jobs that are located in the city. Thank you for your time. We're looking forward for the PLA to go forward with this initiative. Thank you.
Pastor Dwayne Moore. How are you?
Doing good. Good evening, Councilman. And to this council, Dwayne Moore, I pastor Golgotha Trinity Baptist Church in Mr. Andrews' district, and I live in the North District, Brother Richardson's area where he covers. Again, I just come tonight to, again, piggyback on what is said previously about the importance of this petition and the value that it and the possibility that it has for those who live in this area. Having personally worked for a private entity for 35 years, and about 15 years ago what we did was we brought in some people who had no experience in the water industry, and we trained them. And the good thing about it, many of them, we hired them, and many of them are still there to this very day. Matter of fact, one gentleman, he has a grade 5 in distribution. That's the highest that you can get. We've had others to go on and work. I believe that when you have an entity or you have a program within a community, if you hire the people that are there, not only does it help by giving them jobs, but it also makes them responsible, makes them accountable to take care where they live. I pray and I implore that you all would consider this petition, do all that you can to make sure that it makes our neighborhoods, that it saves these children, these young people who need a job. Everybody don't want to go to jail, and everybody doesn't want to steal. They want a job. They want to be able to provide for their families and raise their heads up and be proud of who they are, just as you and I are. Again, I thank you for all the work that you're doing, and I pray that you would consider this bill that we're asking you to do all that you can to ensure that it is employed and help this community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pastor Moore. Mr. Gregory Sanders. I meant Pastor Sanders.
Sorry, we're a little out of order.
That's
Hey, everybody.
okay. Nice to see you back.
Good to be seen. Thank you. Thank you. And I also am here for the labor agreement. And I believe that in the embryonic stages of this local hire policy, I'm convinced that we can create a power in the preliminary stages. We can start off right. And I've lived in Long Beach almost all of my life, and I'm convinced that the legacy of our city is not siloed in the centeredness of the individual districts. I'm convinced it's telescoped through long-range sight that ensures a vision that's birthed in 90806 benefits 90804, or if something's birthed in 90802, it benefits 90813. And you know, I've had a shovel in my hand and brooms in my hand at various parts of the city that I don't even live in, because myself and all of the other pastors here are committed to the view of our city. How does our city look, not just from inside out, but from outside in? How do people view Long Beach? And I believe that this local hire policy is an opportunity to revitalize our whole city. It helps our families, it helps our marriages, it helps reduce crime, and it really does help stabilize our future. And Long Beach is a My Brother's Keeper city, which the Alliance is excited to join our mayor in passionate pursuit of the success of those who want to go to college. But we know that everybody is not college bound. Not everybody sees college as their trajectory or academia as their way out. Some will serve in the military. Some people in our city will open businesses, and some people will find success in careers in just working in labor positions in our city. So this conversation has to be inclusive. We're just simply asking that it's inclusive and not exclusive, that we also get a voice in the success of our future. And the language in the project agreement is critical. We believe that local hire should mean local, not Orange County, not Garden Grove or some of the other cities. I really believe when we say local hire, it should really mean Long Beach. And I believe the equity of our faith in this council should yield the dividends of hope throughout the entire process. And I just simply have to ask, if not now, then when? And if not us, then who? I really want to encourage us. Let's do this together. Thank you so much. We look forward to the process.
Dr. Jerry Reeb. Dr. Reeb. And followed by Bishop Todd Irwin and then Melissa Fisher.
Good evening, council members. It's an honor to stand before you and to say hello and also to address you on this most important issue. I pastor Cornerstone Church in the 3rd District, and we're very thankful to be part of the Long Beach family, and we're very proud of this city and also very grateful for all of you as public servants. I stand in front of you tonight at a time when the U.S. Labor Department tells us that we are, as a nation, the lowest job participation rate in 37 years. The quote-unquote economic recovery has not benefited the middle class or the disadvantaged in our country. Again, appealing to the Department of Labor, the jobless rate among black Americans is twice that of white Americans. Currently, it stands at over 10% in the black community that are looking for work. If you add those who have quit looking for work, you can see that that figure begins to soar, and it soars big. I believe that this is a time to turn the tide. I believe that this is a time for this council to stand on the record of fairness and of justice. I believe it's a time for the tax dollars paid in Long Beach should benefit the citizens of Long Beach with stable, good jobs. One of the things I know all of you are concerned about, because you're all family members, is the breakdown of the local family. And we all know that many of the social ills that we struggle with in the city have to do with the affliction of not having enough money enough to care for families. I believe that the disadvantaged need jobs to support their families and to retain the family structure. The impact of a good PLA would have long-term effects on our city. And if the disadvantaged residents of Long Beach learn job skills and not just a passing job, they'll get the experience to have marketable jobs that will lead to them into the future. I believe there's a moral obligation here. I really do, quite honestly. I believe it's a moral obligation for the city leaders to lift the poor, provide for the disadvantaged, and to care for those in this city who need us most when times for some of us have been very good, but others have been very bad. So thank you for listening to me, and thank you for taking this under your advisement tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. Bishop Irwin.
Hello to Mayor Garcia in his absence, and to the Vice Mayor and the council, all those city staff that are here, and the residents that are here. I'm Bishop W. Todd Irvin from Church 1, 700 East 70th Street, North Long Beach, California. I think what's been echoed already needs not to be redundant again and again. But if I must put a postscript on all that's been said concerning the PLA, I believe that we need to make sure that as we craft such a policy, that we make sure that even the community and community leaders are able to sit at the same table and discuss these matters, and that this not be crafted behind closed doors, but where everyone can have access to the table. Because I truly believe if you're not at the table, you end up on the table. So we want to make sure everyone has a fair shake at shaping this policy, this PLA, so all things will be equal. And we do need to see more, especially with my brother's keeper coming down the pipe, more men of color on these jobs, and i.e. African Americans. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Bishop Irwin. And our last speaker is Pastor Tommy Hunter.
All right, well, thank you for having me. Again, I'm Pastor Tommy Hunter from Long Beach City Church in the 1st District. We're at 401 Golden Avenue. I also reside in the 1st District, right across the street, actually, so at 400 West Ocean. I also have 15 plus years in human resources, and so I understand the benefit of having a local hire policy, and that's what I'm here to represent today. So I believe that the PLAs and the policies that have been put before you are they're a successful plan and they're successful policies. And I think that they've been put before you and there's some discussion around them. And I really think there needs to be consideration for them. And the reason why I say that, and I want to share a scripture with you, and I'm not going to preach it to you, I promise. But I do want to share a scripture, okay? It's out of Jeremiah 29, verse 11. It says, "For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, and they're plans for good and not for harm, to give you a future and a hope." I believe the PLA that's been put before you and the policies that have been put before you create a future, they create a hope, and they're not to harm our city, but to be good for our city. And so I ask you, in making this decision, to look at the facts that are before you and ask yourself, if we go outside of the success that all these other cities have had, if we go outside of that, are we creating a future and a hope for the people of Long Beach? That's something that we really need to consider. I believe that if we follow the plans that everybody else has been successful with, it will be good for our city. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Councilmember Richardson. Councilmember Richardson. It's on. No? It's on. No? It's out.
Okay, well, I wanted to thank all of the folks for coming out today.
Hold on one second. Can you use, would you like to use another seat for now?
Hello? Okay. I just want to jump in and just thank everybody for coming out today. I see that they've organized pastors from across the city. I've never seen anything like this in Long Beach, to where pastors not only from my neighborhood, like I saw it literally, my neighbor was here, my neighbor, and I think that was just unprecedented for me. And I think it carries a lot of weight with me that folks from all across town, a diverse group of, well, I can't say it was too diverse, mostly African American, but it still carries a lot of weight with me that the ministers can come to city council and call on us to do something. And here's why it's important. A few people said something very clear: my brother's keeper. Now, we're quick to call on the ministers when we need help with violence prevention plan, when we need help with my brother's keeper, when we need help with community outreach. We're quick to call on them, and they've just called us out, and they want a seat at the table. And somebody said, if you don't have a seat at the table, then you're most likely on the menu. And I believe that. So I feel that, I personally feel that this process If this is what they're asking for, in all fairness, as a strategic partner with this city, we need to give them a seat at the table to help craft this policy so everybody can say, this is Long Beach, it's our city, these are our jobs. So that's just what I want to chime in and say.
Thank you, Councilmember Richardson. Councilwoman Mungo.
I want to thank you guys for coming out tonight. While my neighbors are here every single week, depending on the topic area, I appreciate when we can pull a good group of people together who have a shared vision. I have met with the coalition. I have met with county officials, MTA management, officials from other nearby cities that have local hire policies, along with community college board members who have local hire policies. I believe strongly in local hire and strong compliance practices. We can all agree there. I've met with the coalition and communicated the parts of the policy I believe to be valuable to our unemployed neighbors, and I look forward to continuing that dialogue because I think that there's a lot of components that we can improve upon of the things that, in talking with other organizations that have good policies, of things they hope to incorporate in their next round. And I think that we can be at the forefront of this. So before those organizations renew, we'll have already practiced the things that they've found to be even more beneficial. So thank you very much, and I look forward to continuing meeting.
Thank you. Councilmember Andrews.
Yes, thank you, Vice Mayor. Actually, I don't think that this is a big secret, what we've heard today, because of the fact that I'm so excited to see our ministers come out. Because remember, in most of our neighborhoods, our ministers carry the voice for the people in which we go and worship every Sunday. You guys, I really want to let everyone know that this is a situation that in 2014, we brought this agenda item to the forefront and it didn't get anywhere. But today I'm seeing some movement that is going to make a difference. And like I said, if you know me ever since I've been here, my biggest cry is a job can stop a bullet. Everybody don't want to be around robbing, stealing, killing. They want a job. And I don't care where they're from, what background they're from. And this is what I'll let you know. If we're considering ourselves to be Long Beach friendly, then let's show ourselves to be Long Beach friendly and get behind this. And I want to thank you guys for coming out.
Thank you, Councilmember Andrews, and for all those that came forward to speak on this issue. I agree with all my council members. We're very proud to see our community come forward. I did want to celebrate Councilmember Andrews, who, without missing a beat on every project, will ask for local hire. Others have as well, and makes it very clear that that is the only thing that matters to him, and that's something that he does not hide. So I want to thank him for that. He keeps us all very much on top of that issue, and we come here at this table with that issue in mind and know that our greatest obligation is not just to our individual districts but to the entire city. I'd like to ask the city manager something that Councilmember Andrews raised, which is we did bring something forward in 2014. I believe that was Councilmember O'Donnell's item to be back in 90 days, and I'm wondering if there is a quick status, at least on the timing of that item.
Vice Mayor, council members, yes. In fact, a memo was sent to
the
council.
You have it right now?
Well, I could reiterate basically that we've been working with the trades. Mr. Miller, we're almost done. We plan to bring this to the City Council in early April for the council to vote on enacting a project labor agreement. The council I believe in 2014 directed us to have a local hiring component, so there definitely will be a local hiring component in it, and that's something that the trades have been very amenable to and that we've been pushing for as well.
So, I appreciate that. I sincerely appreciate that. I think what our good men and women came here to talk about was not so much the PLA as the local hire. There are some there are very few barriers, but there are still some barriers to being a part of a union, and our unions are helping out in making sure that the doors are open to everyone. But what these individuals have come forward to bring to our attention is the person that cannot withstand even the slightest of barriers, and they are still members of our community. And so I think that's why they're highlighting local hire and not PLA. So I think that was the item as well. That Councilmember O'Donnell brought forward, right? So I have other speakers, and then they'll probably all address what we're trying to discuss today. Councilmember Andrews, did you?
No, I just did.
You just did. Okay, Councilmember Austin. Oh, it's collaboration. Can you flip that up? Yeah. It's actually Councilmember Yoranga trying to make sure everyone sits in his chair, so maybe you want to sit in his chair. We'll get that fixed.
All right, I'll sit next to Councilmember Andrews for a second here. I wanted to take this opportunity to thank our speakers for coming out, our many leaders, our ministers, our church leaders, our faith leaders, the people who have the pulse of the community. I often say when I meet with our pastors that you have an audience every week that I wish to have, you know, because you're reaching people, you're touching people, and you're saving souls and lives. So thank you for what you do for our city, and thank you for coming down to our council meeting this evening and sharing your voice on this very important issue. As the city manager made reference to, this was an issue that came before the council in July regarding a project labor agreement, and I think this council spoke in unanimous terms in terms of a local hire agreement. However, you know as well as I do that the devil is in the details, right? And so it's important that, as Councilmember Richardson said, and as many of you have made requests this evening, that you be at the table. And so that's something that I think is a fair request, that we make sure that we have our community at the table, that this is a transparent process, and this is a process that works for Long Beach, most importantly. So thank you very much.
Councilwoman Price.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I, too, want to thank everyone who came out to speak tonight. I have met with several of the organizations on behalf of the local hire policy that's being proposed, and I want to thank you for coming to the table and listening to, really meaningfully listening to some of what of my concerns and my district's concerns were in regards to the policy, and being very inclusive in regards to your presentation of the issues. That means a lot to me. I think sometimes people like to say that they're inclusive, but then if you're not with their program, for some reason you get left behind. And I really appreciate the fact that you guys came to the table, asked me what my concerns were regards to my residents and what some of my constituents feel about this issue, and helping us really work together so that we could come up with a product that we all feel proud of and feel that includes everyone in this city, because everyone in this city lives side by side. We are all each other's neighbors. We all need jobs. We need to protect and help one another. We need to do everything that we can to help one another, regardless of what district you live in or what your background may be. And I really appreciate the fact that y'all came to the table and met with me and really allowed me to have an opportunity to have a meaningful impact on the policy that you'll ultimately be advocating, and for really taking my concerns into your consideration. And I want to thank all of the people who came tonight from our faith-based organizations and our churches. I think that the work that you do in the community is amazing. It's wonderful. Single-handedly, you do things that change people's lives every day. And your presence here tonight is a reminder to me about what it really means to truly respect people that you have to work with in an environment, even in a city government type of situation. Really, how do you respect one another in a way that you move things forward in a positive way? I needed that reminder tonight, and I'm so glad that you guys are here, and I'm looking forward to working with you to fine-tune things as we move forward so that it meets the needs of all of our residents. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, Councilwoman Price, and thank you again to all those that came to speak on the issue.